I'm here with Fernanda of Crypta to talk about Shades of Sorrow, out right now on all streaming platforms. Whatever you can buy records, whatever your local stores are, everybody's selling the Crypta new record. Go pick it up. Don't wait. Buy it sooner rather than later. Thank you very much for taking the time. I know you're super busy, so I really appreciate you having the time to chat with me about this latest record. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, and I'm the one who should be thanking here. Firstly, for the amazing review you posted, you
Oh,
uploaded about on the album. We saw it, we loved it. So thank you very, very much. And thank you for having me here, allowing me
well,
to
it's
be a
always,
chatterbox about my work. I love that.
it's always a pleasure to have you on the channel. I really enjoy talking to you about your music. So anytime, the door is always
Thank
open
you.
and there's always a seat at the table. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome.
So
I
let
hope you're ready for me talking
I'm
never
ready for
endingly
you.
about it.
I have all the time in the world just to listen to what you have to say about this record. So let me start off by asking you this. You have all the time in the world to make your debut record, but then you don't have the same amount of time or expectations when it comes to the follow-up sophomore record. So was this a more challenging record from that perspective, considering now there's fans' expectations, there's label expectations, and you have less time?
Um, Actually, it might sound surprising, but Shades of Sorrow was way less challenging and there was way less pressure. And I'll tell you why. First things off regarding time, this is a pandemic album. We started writing this album still during the pandemic because, like, we released Echoes of the Soul, our first album, in June 2021. And I knew there would be like still quite some time till we were free to be on the road and touring. And I knew once we were on the road, we would be touring like relentlessly and wouldn't have like as much time to write an album as calmly as we wanted to. So I suggested the girls, I was like, hey, as soon as we release the album, let's just take, like a couple of months break. But then we need to get going with the new album just so we can, use this time left with the pandemic to properly focus on an album. Because like I knew in between tours, time would be pretty much limited to do so. And that's what we did. We started writing this album, I think it was in October 2021. And then by the time we were back on touring around May 2022, the album was done already. At least, like the raw structures and everything, of course, solos and vocals came later, but like the whole structure, riffs, the main thing was there already when we started touring. So I think that was a good plan. Otherwise, time would be like really short. We would have to write music under pressure. And that's definitely something that I don't want. But yeah, both our albums are pandemic albums. And I am quite not sure how it's going to be from now on, because I think we're kind of spoiled on writing albums with like proper time. So I have no idea how the next one's going to work out, but it is. And when it comes to like the pressure from fans and labels, to me, I felt this pressure way more with Echoes of the Soul, and the pressure was actually bigger on Echoes of the Soul. And that's because like lots of people were worried if me and Luana like were still gonna be making music. And then when we announced the band, everyone got so curious because they were used to me and Luana like writing thrash metal and stuff like that. So people were just curious, like they didn't know either they were gonna like it or not, either it was gonna be good or not, like how it was gonna sound. So there was a lot of pressure from everyone, like, is it gonna top what they did in Nervosa? How is it gonna sound? Is it gonna sound like cooler or not cool? Like there was a lot of pressure. And also like, there was a hype building on the band already when we announced the band. I remember we getting like a lot of followers on Instagram and stuff like that without people even knowing how we were going to sound. So there was this hype already, and we knew we needed to top that hype up, like we did not want to disappoint the fans, although our main focus is always like, if we enjoy the stuff we're doing and if it's honest music to ourselves, and then Of course, if the fans like it, that's super cool. But still, we were like, well, now we really hope that they like the music because there's a hype going on already. But so yeah, that's why. As for Shades of Sorrow, we knew we had a fan base already based on the feedback we were having, like during the tours. I saw fans getting like more excited than like anticipate anticipating like some judgment on the album, like being judgmental and stuff like that. They were just excited, like we can't wait to hear new stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. So the label was pretty happy with Echoes of the Soul. They really liked the material on the new album, so it was really chill, to be honest. We didn't feel pressured at all because we knew, first of all, we believed our music for the second album so much, but also because we knew there was a fan base already. We knew that they knew what to expect from Crypta. We knew that they liked the band already, and that's it. Like we were not worried at all. So it was to me, it was personally way more chill than Shades of Sorrow, way more. The recording process, everything.
When it comes to thinking of an album and start the songwriting process with a record in mind, uh, do things change for you going from the way you approach writing a record with Nervosa and now writing a record with Crypta, considering there is that change in sound? Does the process also change?
A lot. And although we've been with Crypta for some years now, it still changes to me, and I'll explain to you a little bit. Not only, of course, thrash and death metal, they both live on the extreme side of metal, but they are two different worlds. Like thrash metal is a thing, death metal is a completely different thing, not only lyric wise but sound wise, everything. So yeah, I on Echoes of the Soul, it was really hard for me. Not hard, but it was challenging for me to adapt 10 years of writing thrash metal to suddenly start writing death metal. It was definitely a challenge, but I took that challenge lightly because I really did see Crypta as a blank page in which where I could write pretty much whatever, like, so it was a fun challenge. But definitely things definitely change, like genre wise, the structure of the songs, the lyrical content, everything changes, to be honest. So to me, still nowadays, I I I see myself writing thrashy riffs, and I have to save them for whatever project, whatever someday, because I feel they wouldn't fit Crypta. But I still think pretty much thrash metal because I love the genre and I was playing it for a decade. But still, not only Echoes of the Soul was affected by that, but also Shades of Sorrow, because when I was writing, like when I was in Nervosa, it was still like one guitar. And I'm not saying being a trio was really cool, but I write a lot of riffs, like for Crypta now, and even for Nervosa when I was there, at least like half of the riffs are mine. Like I contribute a lot when it comes to riffs and melodies and stuff like that. So when I was writing Echoes of the Soul, I still had in mind the one guitar mentality. So my riffs were simpler. I wouldn't think of guitar layers, because I had never worked like that before. So to me, like I was writing with this mindset, with the one guitar mindset. Although we had two guitars, I didn't know how to write that way, And but then I knew, like, I saw the girls, Sonia mainly, improving my riffs when I sent her and Echoes of the Soul and adding layers and everything. And I was like, so that's what changes when you have two guitars. And then on Shades of Sorrow, I learned that, you know, like you can do many layers and create many different things when it comes to riffs. And then I really used it in Shades of Sorrow. That's one of the reasons why the songs are more elaborate, you know, because I opened my mind for that. I was like, wow, there's this whole new world, you know. And then when I was, although I don't know how to play guitar, so I create my riffs vocally. I remember sending Taina some riffs with like 2 or 3 layers, and she was like, and all mouth riffs, and she was like, I can't believe you're doing that. I was like, yeah, because now I know, you know, that you can put like a bass riff and then like some leads on top of that and everything, like create a whole atmosphere with the guitars. And that's what I did. So yeah, it definitely changed like my experience with thrash metal and now my experience with death metal. They're two completely different worlds. Yeah.
Is that why this album has that bigger, fatter guitar sound when you compare to the previous record?
Probably. When it comes to guitar tones, like the tones, I really do not interfere a lot because I really want the girls to like the guitar. The sound of the guitars the same way I like to have the same thing back when it comes to bass. And I agree with you with the critics on the bass on the album. We'll get there.
Because that was going to be
That was not a lot to my taste. Yeah. But yeah, but I think the tone is more to the girls. But when it comes to the layers, then it's definitely on me and Taina, because like we were able to understand. I mainly was able to understand what can you explore when you have two guitars. She already knew, of course.
So since you mentioned that, let's talk about the bass. The bass on this record really pops. It has a very predominant role. How do you, now that the album is out and you perhaps have a little bit more time to digest and you hear people like me commenting about it, how do you look back? How do you view it? You going to keep that? Are you going to change that?
I think all of us girls have stuff we would like to have changed on this mix. Like mastering, the production was great, recording was great, mixing was great. On the mixing, we still have stuff that we would have changed this and this and that. And what happened with the bass is working on the mixing process was very stressful for us because we were on the road. Tornado had happened. So it was really, really stressful times for us. And like we had very limited time to discuss on everything. And what I did mainly, I would say my opinion here and there on guitars and drums, but I was mainly focused on my vocals and bass, on how they would sound. So at least that was taken care of, while the girls were taking care of their own tones, which were also complicated to get. So I really like what I reached on vocals, and I really like the sound of the bass. The sound of the bass, that's exactly what I wanted. Like the cling cling cling, that's my signature, you know, and it blends really well with the all the lower end from the other instruments. I think it pops up, and many fans really did like the sound of the bass that was more prominent. And I was really surprised because it really bothers me here and there in the record, mainly on Poisonous Apathy. On that song, I'm like, oh man, I really wish the bass was lower in volume, you know, like, so I feel that too. But when it comes to the tone, a lot of people, like most people, really enjoyed it. But when it comes to volume, like I didn't ask for the volume to be specifically like that. I listened to a couple of songs and I found like the volume was okay. The girls also liked the volume and they were still adjusting the guitars. So I was like, okay, so I got my tone. I explained how I would like to have the bass on the mix, that, you know, like it sounds here and there, but it's not that loud. I found my vocals, so I'm going to chill a little bit right here. And they were still adjusting the guitars mainly and the drums. And I thought that they were going to bring the guitar volume a little upper on the mix. I was really expecting that because they were not as loud You know, I think they would sound, and this is something that really bothers me, like the sound of the guitars. That are many leads and stuff that you can barely listen, and that on the demos I remember that they were like really prominent. And I think that is the problem. I think the guitars should be louder. That's the main thing. That's my take. And of course, if I knew that would be the final volume on the guitars, I would definitely had asked for the bass to be lower. But then, like, I thought they were gonna put it up, and then after the mix was done and we didn't have more time, I was listening to a couple of songs and was like, damn, bass is loud in here. It's not on every song.
No,
In
no,
some songs, it really really feels good. And like The Outsider, it's not that loud, which is my favorite track in the album. And Dark Clouds, I think it's fine. In most of the songs, it's fine, but in a couple of songs like Poisonous Apathy, like it's definitely not to my taste. And that's because I was expecting the guitars to be louder. And that's definitely something we'll work on the next album. I really liked that people liked the bass prominent and the bass sound, like the tone. But yeah, on the next album, I'll definitely have like a last check on the volume, because I think it was a volume thing. I think like the volume of the guitars really bothers me. They should definitely be a little bit louder, so everything was on the same page. You know, like there's lots of details on the guitar that I can barely listen. It was like, damn.
Well, there's always next time. But on top of that, when you guys play live, then you can go a little bit closer to the way you want the songs to sound like. That's the other.
Yeah. Definitely. And that's what we do. Like live, usually my bass is not that prominent. You know, like that's live. It happens exactly what I want on the album, which is like you can hear the bass, the clang, 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 and that's what I want. Like I want the bass to be noticeable, but the bass doesn't overpower any of the other instruments live, and that's what I really wanted on the album. But it happens.
As you're still working out the kinks in terms of the creative process and the recording and everything, because you have that mindset change from thrash to death metal, are you still looking for what the final Crypta sound is going to be, or you're closer now with this record?
I think we're pretty much close with this record. I think we found what it is that fans define as being Crypta's essence, which is melodic parts, like blended with aggressive parts. I think that's the main thing fans expect from Crypta, and I think that's where our sound always should come from. And that's what we did with Shades of Sorrow. We identified with the feedback we got from Echoes of the Soul what fans really would like to really define as Crypta sound, and then we kept that, and then we experimented from there. And I think that's what's gonna happen on the next album too. Like now we know what fans like, we'll keep that, and then we'll experiment on top of that, you know. And but I pretty much feel that we're very, very close to reaching what Crypta really sounds. And I think that has a lot to do with what you see in Shades of Sorrow, which is like darker melodies. Because I think melodies are always going to be there for Crypta, in Crypta. But I think on Echoes of the Soul, melodies were more epic. And the only song that is more like that on Shades of Sorrow is Lord of Ruins. All the other ones, they have a lot of melodies, but they are darker, more emotional melodies. And I think that's the way we're going, like keeping the essence, which is melodies dash aggressiveness, but darker, more emotional, heart-wrenching melodies.
So moving from thrash to death metal has allowed you to grow as a songwriter. How has been your growth as a bass player? Because it's also different.
The thing with the bass playing, and I'll be 100% honest here, that's definitely something I think people who are watching this would not expect me to see. But I feel that I'm keeping it more and more and more simple with bass, and that's on purpose. When I was not like, I had many bands before Crypta and Nervosa, Anna was like a shredder on bass. I would like, I could not play just a doom doom doom. It was a like I was exploring a lot my bass, but with Nervosa, I ended up like keeping it a little bit simpler. And now with Crypta, I think it's even simpler on purpose because there's a lot of information in our music. You know, there's a lot of double bass, there's a lot of, you know, like very technical parts on drums and guitars. And I feel that I need the bass to be the perfect background for that. And sometimes that is just being simple, just allowing being the perfect bad or whatever for the other instruments to flourish. And I'm very comfortable with that. So nowadays I keep it really simple on bass and really do only what the song asks for. And that's on purpose. And I specifically told that to our producer, and he was like, he 100% agreed with that. And sometimes like I was trying to do like more complicated things, and we tried the simple thing on studio, and I was like, nah, that's the way it's got to be, man. You know, I just want the other instruments to flourish while the bass keeps everything tied up together, you know, like, so that's one of the reasons I've been keeping it simpler and simpler on Crypta. And the other reason is that I play more than an instrument, you know, like to me, I always say that I split my performance live, because to me, live is what matters. That's the climax of everything, in 4 parts. I used to say 3 parts, but now it's 4 parts. 30% bass guitar, 30% vocals, which are complicated enough, 30% stage performance, because that's as important to me as the other 2 things. I'm highly performatic on stage, and I really like that, and that's a very important thing to me. And the other 10% is just the feeling, you know, like the natural moves and natural grooves you play and sing. Like there's got to be some room for feeling, for the raw thing you feel when you're playing live. So it's a bunch of stuff, you know, it's a lot of stuff to be managing on stage. And I know there's many people who can do all that very well, and I cherish them because I know that's very hard. But for me, like I'd rather have it all like simple and deliver it in a good, impactful way than just like making it more complicated. So you know, like there's a lot of notes or whatever, just because like singing and playing at the same time is a lot to manage already. And there's my stage performance, and then there's the feeling. I'm all about feeling when I'm on stage. So I was like, okay, let's keep it all simple. That's why I don't do like a lot of highly complicated things on vocals too. So I think I'm keeping it more and more simple, so the whole package is more impactful rather than only the bass notes. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but that's the best way I can explain.
And that is a perfect leadway to my last question for you, which is you guys,
last
well,
what?
you have to go somewhere else. I mean, I don't have anything else.
No, I still have time. I still have more time. What time is it now?
It's 10:30 my time. I don't know what time is your time.
Okay. No, we still have some time, like 20 minutes more. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. Because I don't have anything to do. I'm here for you. So
okay, so let's chat.
So since you talked about live performance, I'm kind of I have a little bit of a beef with you guys, because you guys tour all over the place, but you haven't come to Canada. You haven't played in Toronto. Like what gives? What do I have to do? Do I have to get like Beyonce to send you a letter to invite you to Toronto or something? Like, I mean, you tell me.
That would help.
You tell me what you need for me in order for you guys to come to play a Toronto show.
Yeah, it's been complicated. You're not the only one who are pissed at us. I've got so many friends in Canada. I love Canada. It's one of my favorite countries in the whole world. I really do love the country. I've been there before with Nervosa. I love the people. Canadian people are usually the coolest, you know. and I can't wait to be there. But the thing is, it gets a little tricky with the visas. That is the thing, and also with the timing regarding tours and everything. So I'll give you an example. Like, I've been specifically asking our agent, like, we need to do some Canadian shows and everything, but it's really not that easy, at least for Brazilians. So what the thing is, like, we've been to the US with our tour with Morbid Angel, and we really had like some days off here and there, but it will be, like, too complicated roading wise to go there. And also the thing with the visas, that was a highly costly tour for us. And then in the end, with the tornado thing, it was even more costly. So we just couldn't fit the visas plus like some extra time to travel there in our budget. It was just very, very complicated. Now, soon, we're going to be announcing another tour in the US on February. And again, Canada is not going to be there. But again, it's just like, it's not that we don't want to. Like, we know we have fans there. But the thing is, like, it's going to be February. I know it gets snowy, like in there. So what, we're not even doing like the Northeast in the US. We're not going to New York, for example, because it's February. We're kind of traumatized with weather, like disasters, conditions. So we're doing this little tour to support that we're playing, the metal cruise, 70,000 tons of metal. So we really need a tour to support that. And so we're doing, like just south there in the US, and we're going to go all the way up to Portland, which, like, it's not complicated to go there. It doesn't get like too snowy, so we can definitely go there. So that's why, like, there's always an implication. Thing is, like, it really has to involve like some good planning, so we, like, can travel all the way up there. Otherwise it can get highly costly because of flights and everything. And there's the visas. We need work visas for Canada, and that makes things very complicated for us. That's the thing. But it's going to happen. I promise next year is going to happen somehow.
For me to see you guys last year, I had to fly to Portugal and go all the way to Vagos just to see you guys play. I mean, it was great to meet you guys before the show. Like, you were so kind with your time. I really appreciate it. You guys had a great performance.
Of course.
But I'm like, here I am having to travel across the Atlantic because I picked that specific day because you guys were playing on that day. I think you guys came to place My Dying Bride, if I'm not mistaken, because they dropped out and they added you guys. And then when I started to see the lineup for that day, I'm like, okay, this is going to check a lot of boxes, because when am I going to see these girls in Canada? So let me just come here since I'm on vacation, take a day to go and watch you guys. And I'm glad that I did, because that's my lasting memory that I have of you guys performing.
That's beautiful. I hope it was worth it.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like, I don't regret it one bit. I'm just really glad, because I was there to visit my family. And as you know, when you're visiting family, they don't necessarily want you to go to a metal festival for 3 days. So I'm like, I can only take 1 day away from seeing my mom and stuff. So I picked the day that you guys were playing, Cataclysm was playing, Wind Rose was playing. So it gave me a chance to see bands that I really like. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm probably not going to see these girls for a while. They seem to be allergic to Canada, so let me just go play in Portugal. Plus, it's kind of watch you guys play in Portugal. Let's just put it that way. That was cool.
Yeah. Let's make things clear here. I love you, Canada and Canadian fans. It's just like, it might get a bit too tricky when it comes to planning. So it's not our fault. We've been doing our best. It's just like, it needs some extra planning, but we're gonna do that next year somehow. I promise you, it's gonna happen. But you were not the only ones. Like, before we were touring the US, we had fans from the US coming to South America to watch us, because they were like, dude, you just cannot play here, so we'll have to travel. So that happens, and I'm so thankful, because that's a beautiful act of love and support, but also it means that, well, we need to visit your country. But it's gonna happen, I promise.
Everybody, when they post their tour announcements, everybody always has the "come to Brazil" sentence that people post in the comment sections. Pretty soon, when you guys announce tour announcements, it's going to be "come to Canada." The "come to Canada" is going to overshadow the "come to Brazil." It's going to be the new one.
We already have our top come to in our comment section. Now it's Australia, because we also haven't been there. So, but that's a good thermometer. Maybe you should start this trend, this come to Canada thing, because that's a thermometer for us to know, like, yeah, we really got to go there next. And come to France is also there on the list. Like, the French fans, they are like outraged that on our last European tour, like a couple of weeks ago, we literally drove through France and didn't play there. They were like, what the fuck? So, well,
I think it was Flesh God Apocalypse. They posted that they were touring in Brazil, and in the comment section I wrote "come to Brazil," just because I like to troll those guys. But yeah, I think I have to start the "come to Canada" for you. I have to ask you this question. You are a huge influence on a lot of young girls, on a lot of musicians in general, for the work that you've done with your bands and with your music. Is there somebody out there in the metal world? I'm not going to ask you outside of the metal world because I already know the answer to that. But in the metal world, is there somebody that you look up to, somebody that's been a huge influence on you?
Oh, a lot of people, really. Thinking of, like, not only musically, it's not only musically, right? Because you said like inspire in a general way. Musically, I always have like some people, but I do have some people that I really look up to, and I'm like, yeah. Alisa Whiteglass, like, I really love how she can blend well her activism with her music on her profile, and this is something that I'm still trying to find some balance. I think that's very important, and I think she can be a very positive force in this world. And there's also Angela Gossov. She inspires me in so many different ways that it wouldn't even fit in this conversation. Also, like Mile from Creator, we're friends, and like from the last talk, we've met in Berlin and we had dinner together, and we were talking for like hours. It was super cool, and I really feel inspired by him, like in so many different ways, because he's also an activist in his own way, but he's so chill, and like, yeah, I really, there's many things on him that inspire me a lot. And also Isain from Emperor, he's probably one of the coolest people I've ever met in person, like so down to earth, so like chill when it comes to talking to fans and stuff like that. As same way as King Diamond, because I met him in Brutal Assault last year, and I was highly inspired by the way he was treating, like me, a nobody, a fan that was there out of nowhere, and like no contest. He didn't have to do anything, and he treated me like in such an awesome way that was very inspiring. That's what I already have a good relationship with my fans, but these two guys, they inspire me a lot on getting even better, like, because they're the reason for everything. So they really inspire me in that sense. So yeah, these would be some. I can get inspired very easily by people in the metal scene, out of the metal scene, by people I see on a daily basis, like treating like a person who's living on the streets, like in a very like decent human way. That's inspiring to me. So I'm always like picking daily inspirations from people and things and situations so I can improve as a person. But in metal, that would be those for now. Yeah, I guess.
Well, I have to say, when I met you guys at Wagner's, you guys were so kind with your time. And I know when you're at a festival, you got a set to play, you got things to organize, all of this stuff for you guys to take the time to come and hang out and talk and take some pictures. It meant the world to me. Like I'm a nobody, and you guys gave me your time. So I think if they inspire you, you're fully inspired, because you definitely made our day. And I think that was such a cool thing from you guys to add to the whole experience of what that day meant for us. Now, my last question for you, I have to ask you this, because I know this means something to you. I saw you posting about Tobias from Ghost and the comments that he had about the band. When you see somebody like that, because that's not just like, me posting a comment, or I don't know, old Drake from Evil posting a comment, like, we love you, so we always going to give you support. We always going to be there for you. But when you see a comment by Tobias about your music, your art, your labor, your work, coming from a guy like that, a massive band like Ghost, how this do you stop and like, wow, like this is happening, like mind-blowing shit?
Yeah, definitely. Like, first of all, like, every positive, inspiring comment counts to me. Like, really, that's why I started this interview thanking you for your review. It's very important to me too, because it all inspires me in different ways. But to me, I mean, Ghost is huge, man. It's probably one of the biggest acts we have in rock and metal nowadays. Band's huge, like, and I do what I do with my music because I love doing that. That's what I love doing the most right now. So I cannot, especially after the pandemic, I cannot see myself doing anything else for the next year. So I love, that's the dearest thing to me. So I firstly do that because I love. Second thing is, I really feel that music has this power of embracing people, healing people, supporting people, entertaining people. Is a huge package. And I love that I am able to provide this to people the same way that other albums provided this to me in my times of need, in my times of fun, in my times, in my whole life, basically. So that is very fulfilling, like being able to do your art, which is something that you naturally love, and at the same time inspire people. These are very important. But when you do all that, and as a bonus, you have people from bands you love, people from some of the biggest bands out there recognizing your work, your hard work, because he mentioned that too. So recognizing your work and recognizing, like, validating, like all your struggle to, like, be out there making music, it truly means something on another level, because it's like doing your art pays off. Inspiring other people pays off, but having it validated by some of the biggest names, like saying that, yeah, this what you're doing is good. It makes everything worth it, like, so it's really a huge thing to me, and it served me as, I think, a huge fuel for me to keep on doing that and doing what I love, because like, it's getting out there. So I think that's basically it. But it definitely means a lot to me to know that, like, we're being recognized. It's not easy being in a band. It's not easy doing that, but it's worth it in the end. And having someone validating it's really, really cool.
I'm going to go on the record right now, and I'm going to go throw some good karma at the world, because I believe when you put good shit out there, good shit comes back to you. So Ghost is going to be doing a massive tour across the US only with Amon Amarth. They're taking Amon Amarth as their supporting band. So let's throw out there perhaps a full-on North American tour with some finally Canadian dates, with Ghost in Crypta opening up for Ghost. Let's throw that mojo out into the world.
That would be amazing.
And I think that would be fucking amazing. So let's
that would be amazing.
I'm throwing it out there, because if they can take Amon Amarth, why not you guys? I mean, like, They take whoever. I mean, I've seen them with Spirit Box and Mastodon. I've seen them with Nothing More, with in Avenged Sevenfold. I've seen them in very strange lineups. So I don't think they're afraid of doing anything crazy like that. So let's start this talk about a North American tour with Canadian dates with Ghost and Crypta.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We're playing 2 dates with them here in Brazil, in São Paulo in September. It's going to be probably one of the first shows with a new album. And well, let's see what happens from there. But a tour would be amazing, and it's definitely on the top of my bucket list. Definitely.
Yeah, so since you're there, put in a good word and let's get those good vibes going.
Count on me for that. Both good word and good vibes.
Fernanda, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All the best to you and the girls with the record, and I hope to see you very soon.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking to you. All the best to you and to your channel. And thanks for being such an important bridge between us and the fans. There are lots of things that we want to express about our work that need to be explained besides the album. And without you guys who have your channels and everything, that wouldn't be possible. So thank you for being this bridge. It truly means a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.